It was the page I had open.
I was, okay.
Yeah, it's that one. So first off, I'll start by stating my name.
Yeah,
My name is Patrick Brown, and I'm living currently in Corpus Christi, Texas, but I'm from South Bend, Indiana.
and where were you whenever Harvey hit?
Well, when Harvey hit, I was at the Oregon Eclipse Festival outside of cell phone reception, so I actually had no idea that the storm had hit until after we left the festival environment there in quite a bit of the mountains, and then my phone started to explode.
But you knew that it was coming to the Texas coast.
No, Harvey had not even formed
Had you formed
when I left cell phone reception. So I was totally unaware that anything had transpired until my phone started exploding.
So you came back to cell reception area. All of a sudden, you got all these emails and text messages and people saying, "Call me back," and then people specifically from this area were calling you, and you probably heard the news that Harvey was building is going to be humongous, and it was heading towards the Texas coast. And so you started making calls, and you hear people going, they're saying to tell us to get out, don't hang around, go 100 miles inland. So,
And I actually heard nothing of that.
oh, you didn't?
Harvey had already hit. By the time I was aware that Harvey was even coming, Harvey had hit. So the entirety of the devastation occurred while I was totally unaware. And my initial fear was for our home, of course.
And
It
friends.
hit, it hit in Port Aransas. And Port Aransas is our next door neighbors. I mean, we go to hang out in Port Aransas, during spring break and stuff.
They're across the bay.
Right, they're just right across the bay. So initially my fear was that our home had been destroyed and all of my belongings were no longer belonging,
Yeah.
so to speak. So the confusion, the fear was very real, and the concern. We had friends who were stranded during the hurricane. I mean, Ryan and his grandmother rode out the storm in Aransas Pass. And so I found out about the storm as I left. And our initial concern, when I found out that Ryan that stayed with his grandmother, was that I figured they were both dead, because this is one of the worst storms that has hit the Texas coast. And so there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of confusion, but at the same time, because I do what I do, we started working immediately. And I come to find out that the plans that I had written, the burner disaster preparedness plan, was already in effect. And so the people, our crew, the core constituency of our Burners Without Borders crew in Texas, had on their own
They stepped in.
set up an incident command system, and they had instituted a burner housing network where you could go fill a database. If you had a home that had an extra room, or if you needed a room, you could go to this utility. And so the response that sprang up in my absence, I had nothing to do with it. It all goes to the credit of the Burners Without Borders participants who have been our friends and our comrades over the past decade. It's not like we haven't sat around the campfires and talked about this. This didn't happen in a vacuum. After Hurricane Katrina, we all discovered the failure that our own government had to render services directly to the victims of the storm.
And all these big establishments that everybody hears about, they found out that, they're there, but they're there for a short time, and then they go run off to the next disaster.
Right.
It's almost like the disaster of the week or month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bulk of relief, quote unquote, that people get is just, a check and maybe a cup of coffee and a blanket. But that doesn't.
And a donut.
Yeah, you might get a donut if you're lucky. But that doesn't take the tree off your roof, right? That doesn't fix the hole that's dripping water from rain that we just experience in our everyday lives. Because sometimes it takes weeks or months for these insurance adjusters to get out and cut a check. And then the check isn't big enough for the families to do what they need to do. And that's where we come in.
Or the hole that's left in the ground that the tree left when it fell over.
Yep. So we have been able to provide a spectrum of services to the people of Arenz's Pass that some of the other groups do not have the capability to deliver. Because we utilize heavy equipment, we're able to take down dangerous and dangling trees. We're able to take down structures that are uninhabitable and or dangerous before mold impregnation can begin. We help people by removing their homes so they can use their FEMA check to rebuild their home, right? So what we do most at Burners Without Borders is we isolate gaps in services, and we form service packages to fill those gaps. And one of the largest gaps that we've noticed in hurricane response, relief, and recovery is the delivery of heavy equipment. So there's not very many people who are actually running around with bobcats, who are actually running around with 8,000-pound variable reach forklifts. We're able to deliver, with our small and quick and resilient crews, immediate relief on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so that strength and resilience is what has been our major selling point and what has allowed us to complete $250,000 worth of removal and repair over the past month and a half.
Yeah, and they're not, you got crews that got the little small chainsaws. They don't have access to a big one, or they don't know how to safely operate one. Like in one case, a previous interviewee was talking about how they had to cordon off a large safety area when they're taking down a very large tree. And some people just don't think to that level of safety. And a lot of burners have found that out over the years because they see big projects out in the desert and they see the safety levels that are done in. Some people question it, and then it dawns on them, yes, it's to protect people.
Yeah, well, one of the thing about Burning Man and our regional Burning Man events is the fact that we do stress safety to such an extent. I mean, we say safety third, quote unquote, but that doesn't mean that it's third in priority. So we do things that are dangerous, and we do them safely by habit because we engage in dangerous behaviors as a culture.
Yeah.
So it's a culture that engages in dangerous behaviors, but does it so with very few injuries, like relative to the stupid shit that we do.
Yeah. I mean, you got fire spitters.
Yeah.
But you go into an area where there's no roots they're going to trip over. Somebody goes out and cuts the roots.
Yep, we do safety. One of the things that Burners Without Borders has that other organizations that are delivering service doesn't is longevity in sustaining membership. So when you volunteer for some of the other VOADs that are down here, you come and you stay for a week and then you go home. They come and they pay for your flight in, or you pay for your flight in. You get here, you get housing, you get food, you stay for 5 to 7 days, and then you're back home again. And Burners Without Borders actually has long-term sustained camping for individuals who want to come and donate a lot of their time.
There are people that have been here already over 40 days.
Yes, so we have people...
Not just one or two, several.
Several, and that is the magic of what makes Burners Without Borders possible. I mean, we're small, but we're wiry. So crews of 5 and 6 and 7 are a lot easier to manage than groups of 40. And we end up with highly skilled and trained individuals who are sort of gone through the Burning Man boot camp of setting up a theme camp under 50-mile-an-hour winds sometimes with a complete whiteout.
Yeah.
So it's not like this exists in a vacuum. This is part of what we do, you know, for as a hobby.
It's nature.
As a hobby, we go and we set up a camp, and we provide our own water, we provide our own power, we provide our own sustenance.
The only
shelter.
thing that's provided to us are bathrooms.
Yes. Porta potties are important. And porta potty guy, this goes to you. You are the true hero.
But so you kind of been involved with Burners Without Borders for over half a decade because you got the Corpus Christi chapter started, and your view was, hey, we've got a section of beach here that needs help.
Well, I started doing disaster relief shortly after Hurricane Katrina. So I went down about a year after Hurricane Katrina, and there was still a disaster. And we did some work then. And since that time, almost a decade and a half now, 13 years, I guess, I've been.
It was '05.
It was '05, yeah. So I've been doing regular Burners Without Borders activities for almost a decade and a half. And I've gained a lot of experience during that time. I've done flood relief, I've done fire relief, I've done hurricane relief, I've done tornado relief, and I've done multiple community projects insofar as it.
Well, it's the protecting of the sea life for the turtles.
Right, and the most
beach.
recent project is the Burner Beach project, and the Burner Beach project has been ongoing now for almost 4.5 years, and we have removed over 45,000 pounds of trash, 3,000 volunteer hours, and it's a quarterly thing where we have a weekend campout festival, and clean the beach at the same time. So we get 7 miles of beach cleaned up every time that we have a cleanup, and we've been doing that for about 3.5, 4 years now.
And it's not just tin cans, it's all sorts of things.
Yeah, no, we get refrigerators, boats. I mean, you name it, it washes up on the beach, and we get rid of it. But this has been our real first opportunity to engage with heavy equipment here at the Aransas Pass Disaster Relief Camp. And I think that's been one of my favorite things about this entire experience, has just been watching people sit in a bobcat or skid steer and just watching their faces light up as they go run into that, crunch that building up and just take it away. Because I think with each load they remove, they understand that that is one load less towards normalcy in that family's
So one of your
life.
favorite things that you've done in this disaster relief is to get into a bobcat, tear out some things, and take it to where the debris can be hauled off, and then you see the smile on the property's owners' faces, and you go, that's one thing that less that they have to worry about.
Well, my favorite thing, I think, has actually been the community that we've grown. I mean, it's not just burners anymore at disaster camp. We have Team Rubicon members. We have Child Stars. We have locals who have come together to deliver a service package that has transformed the lives of literally hundreds of people. And for a budget of less than $10,000, we've been able to deliver over $250,000 worth of services to the city of Aransas Pass and Ingleside. In addition to the 3,000 volunteer hours that we've logged, to the 75,000 pounds of food and water that we've passed out, to the countless hours of sanctuary that we've provided, and just being there.
Yeah, there's one thing that burners have been known for. Burners love to hug people. And because they realize just that contact of more than a handshake just means so much more. You're just holding that person. It could be a 5-second hug. If the person wants it, it could be a 3-minute hug.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just feel them just untense.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the fun things about what we do, because in our culture we hug. It's pretty much just a kind of default greeting. And so when I'm going to like a local Aransas Pass, resident whom we've just, helped them do whatever, and then I just start to go give them a hug. And then I have to remember, they were not in the Burning Man community specifically. And so watching the reaction, because sometimes if you go to lean into a person, you go to give them a hug, they're either going to, wow, what the hell, or they're going to lean in and take it. And some of these folks are crusty. I mean, it's not like these people are just like the kindest, most gentle people looking in the world. No, I mean, these are some bikers that we're helping out and stuff. You don't just like normally want to lean in and just go grab a biker and give him a hug.
Yeah.
You ask permission first.
Yeah.
But I mean, the permission has been there, and the hugs have been there, and it's been real, and the people really do appreciate the fact that there's another human. Who cares? The heavy equipment is nice, and the change and the transformation that we see in the properties is nice. But it's the knowledge that there is another person on the planet that cares.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what we give.
So that is really what is the basic thing, is people finding out other people do care.
Yeah.
That they're not looking for compensation. They're just looking for appreciation and a hug. Because I know the burners themselves they get that hug from that person that helped out. They even feel better internally.
Yeah.
And you're even showing that yourself right now, that you're getting that hug back from maybe an 80-year-old lady that just breaks down in your arms, and you're just there to support her, and then she backs off, and she just looks like she feels better.
Well, I think that is our primary export here at Disaster Camp, and that's hope. And I think that hope has a value that transcends any monetary attachment. You can't just put a price tag on hope. Hope is something that's degraded and eroded through life experience. And we've been able to rekindle hope in a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just by our presence.
You can't just drive up, hand them a couple bottles of water, a couple sandwiches, and pat them on the head, and drive off. That doesn't do it.
Yeah, no, I mean the experience that we have with the people that we help is profound. The connection that we make with the people that we serve is real and long lasting. They invite us back over for barbecue. They bring us pies or beer
Or
beer.
cake.
Or cake. So the community, Big C community, world community. So the power of Burning Man export to me, like I was impacted by the regional Burning Man network, and that it gave me hope that I could make a difference, that I could be empowered to go into the world and reshape it in a way that was more like what I experienced on Playa or at our regional events. And that is freedom from fear and hope and joy and the comfort of just being a human being and not being judged for that. So I think when we meet people in this disaster area, we have lost a lot of our preconceptions anyway. The grocery store's not even there,
Yeah.
right? The gas station's gone. So our frame of reference has been stripped. And it makes it a lot easier for us as burners to just go out into the world and be ourselves, because it just so happens that our skill sets are perfect for surviving in the disaster front. And so when we can feel calm and we can be radically self-reliant and know that our needs are met and taken care of, we don't have these worries, and we're able to bring that comfort and that hope out to the people whom we're servicing and give that as a gift. Not just the heavy equipment, not just fixing their house, but being there as a person to give hope.
So do you have a last feeling that you'd like to talk about
Yeah.
on what this has done to you personally, how it's changed? I mean, you've been a burner for over a decade. You've been into other situations. You've helped get involved with other Burners Without Borders projects. But how specifically, because when you came back from the eclipse in Oregon, and then you went to Burning Man because that's what you had planned, and then you had adventures coming back. When you drove into the city and saw that Corpus Christi, with your own eyes, was affected some, but then just across the bay, we're talking less than 10 miles. It's total devastation. I mean, you can't go a block without seeing a house that's just tore up. I mean, it had a hitch in the gut when you just first drove in. And
Well-
now we're about 6 weeks past that point. You haven't been here back quite that long. It's about a month, and you just jumped in like a paratrooper.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the scope of the disaster of Harvey was not as great as that as Katrina.
But it ranges all the way from Corpus Christi to the Louisiana border.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's spread out and stuff. When Harvey hit the shore, it shattered. Like, and that's the thing that saved Corpus Christi, was the fact that, that barrier island did its job. And when it hit, the eye wall broke apart and it formed tornadoes.
Mustang Island and North Padre Island did their things.
Yeah. No, I mean, when Hurricane Harvey hit Port Aransas, it literally shattered on the shore. And that created a line of tornadoes, basically, that ripped through Rockport and Ingleside. So, the barrier island did its job. Port Aransas took it right in the face. And it was destroyed almost completely. Port Aransas was just, it did its job. The barrier island worked. But Rockport didn't have the same amount of protection as Aransas Pass did, and it was hurt even worse. But most of the damage that we've seen here has been wind damage. And from a lot of the locals that I've talked to, what they describe to me sounds more like tornadoes than the actual sustained hurricane. And I can see by the way that the buildings have been shattered and exploded, that was the case. So we had a huge change in barometric pressure. Like, one of the guys was telling me the story about how his entire trailer basically exploded. So it had a good seal on it. When the barometric pressure dropped, literally the windows blew out, the doors blew out, and that let all of the rain and the rest of the stuff in, and his home was completely destroyed. So it doesn't sound like a normal hurricane occurrence there. That sounds more to me like...
It's not just blown over. There's just so many things that happened at once.
Yeah.
They can be a combination between straight line winds, small tornadoes, because tornadoes do pop up in hurricanes. A lot of people may not realize that. And then you also have, like you said, the barometric pressure drop from the storm eye itself. It just...
Well, one of the things that's most important...
And this is one of the biggest storms ever to hit the U.S. mainland. And it's taken out trees that are probably, in some cases, 300 years old.
Yeah, no, this is definitely one of the worst storms that I've seen in a very targeted area. The devastation was complete.
Yeah. That anyone has seen.
It was pretty bad. But I think the most important thing right now is that to note, today in Aransas Pass, the Red Cross is no longer in operation. We have two other groups that are delivering services, and they're wrapping up their operation.
You've had people driving up to your camp asking about Red Cross, and you're having to direct them to the Red Cross website because no one seems to know where they went.
Yeah, no, the Red Cross is gone, and Team Rubicon's wrapping up. Helping Hands is wrapping up. All hands on, is wrapping up. Everybody's in the end of what they're doing, and we're prepared to continue. But in order to continue, we're going to need your support, and we need money for the heavy equipment, and it's only running us about, $8K a month to maintain the equipment that we have and the gas to run it. And we've been able to do over $250,000 worth of work in the past month and a half. And a lot of that is due to the presence of the heavy equipment and the fact that no one else is doing what we're doing. So your continued support will make this continue into the future, because we're willing to do this as long as we have the equipment to run. So it's up to you at this point to decide, the relative value of the continuation of services. But 10-to-1 return on investment is not bad. So if I was looking to donate money right now, I would be thinking to donate to Burners Without Borders Harvey Relief, because it all goes directly to the people who are being served.
Yeah,
And
you're not putting up people in hotels.
No, we don't. They're our volunteers are sleeping in tents, and so we have very little.
Or their trucks or
Yeah, we have very little overhead, and we're able to deliver a clean service delivery package that's unmitigated by secondary bloat in the area of middle
Management.
bureaucracy. Right. So we avoid a lot of the middle management issues that a lot of the larger groups have by maintaining a grassroots nature. And so we don't. All of our monetary donations go directly to support the activities that are delivering services to these people. So it's not like you're paying anybody to do this. We're all volunteers. There's nobody getting paid to do this. So unlike the other organizations,
you're getting paid in hugs.
no, yeah, I got paid for nothing. We get paid in hugs, yeah. We get paid in gum. Anyway, I actually paid in like granola bars at this point. But yeah, so that your money is best spent by making sure that we can continue this into the future. So please donate, please come down and deliver your hands. And come stay for a while because we like to hang out. Thank you. Kill that. I'm done talking to the camera for a while. That was good. That last bit was good though. We went long. It's hard to edit long.